Okay, great. Well, it's a pleasure to have you all join us for this, our second presentation of the trend report. I have to say that in the first week, we've been so appreciative and flattered of the results in the press and hearing from so many people that attended that it's just been a really great week for us. So on behalf of my co-presenters, Candace and Leith, we say big thanks
Thank you
for supporting us.
Yeah.
I also want to just do a couple quick housekeeping things. We'll talk more about the 15th year because we really can't believe that you're seeing our 15th trend report, and we'll get into the motivations and where we came for the report. But for now, I should say I'm Andrew, and this is Candace McDonald, and this is Leith Steele. And we're, I forgot to do that on the last one, just in case you didn't know who we were. But we're very excited, as I said, to be here. I do want to say that don't worry if you don't pick up everything from the report today. We have a lot to cover in this next hour. So you'll see examples on every page. We're not going to cover every one, but following this presentation, you'll receive an email that will give you a link so that you can download the report. And you can also email myself, any of us, if you need to get access to a copy of the report once we finish today. I also want to mention that we do have a Q&A function. So we're going to try to leave a few minutes for questions. So if you have a question, please put it into that. And Candace and I and Leith will try to respond to all those questions. And then I think just on that note, I'm just going to say what a couple of years we've been talking about. Oh yeah, by the way, I should also mention, we're all coming to you live together from the world headquarters of Carbonate in Cincinnati, Ohio, where it's raining, where it's snowing out right now.
Snowing, actually.
But we're so happy to be here together to also present this report to you. And so on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Candace to just say a few words about the report itself and who we are.
Yeah, so we are representing, this report is produced by our partner agencies, AF&Co and Carbonate. AF&Co is celebrating its 17th year in business this year. And is a strategic lifestyle, hospitality, marketing, and public relations firm. And AF&Co has also been an award-winning agency, recently just recognized by the PR Society of America for receiving a Foggy Award, so which is very exciting. Carbonate is a boutique creative strategy and brand communications agency. Both of our agencies specialize in food, beverage, hospitality, wine, travel, all the good things in life, right? And together we provide a full suite of marketing services from concept development, brand development, design, identity development, visual identity, public relations, marketing communications, social media, all of the things that are needed to drive sales. So on that note, I will turn it over to, I'll tell you a little bit about, so we've been doing this report, as Andrew mentioned, for 15 years. And last year, in light of everything that's going on in the industry, we added a charitable component to it. So this year, our charity partner is the James Beard Foundation Women's Leadership Programs. So we do this report, if some of you may know, we do this report also on the road. We take this show on the road and have done this report for different trade shows and different organizations privately as well. And in exchange for that, we just ask for a donation of almost any size to our charity partner. So, and also we will be matching donations made from now through the middle of the summer or the middle of the year. So anything that you decide to contribute today, we will match. So we hope you will. And the link is on our website as well. This report, as Andrew mentioned, is takes a village. So Leith Steele is on the call. You'll hear from her shortly. She's our senior strategist and head of insights, and has actually been one of the authors of the report for since its inception, honestly. And then obviously Andrew and I, and then we have our wonderful creative team. You'll hear some design trends from our creative director, Jonna Quinn and her team, and then our social media team, as well as our director of brand strategy and communications also support. So we need to recognize those people and their contributions as well. So I'll turn it over to Andrew to talk about the lucky number 15.
Yes. Well, first of all, I just want to say that 15 years, it feels like all 15 years have happened in the last 2 years, just given everything that's gone on in our world. And I will, I'm known for throwing in a song pun or two, but I was thinking about this morning, and I will honestly say the lyrics from I Will Survive have applied to our industry, because at first we were all afraid and we were petrified, but we figured it out and we survived. And I think if you were all together, I would say give yourselves a round of applause. Well, you could do it in your respective environments to just salute the resilience and how proud we are to be part of this industry because we've made it through, and now we have some new challenges with some potential recession and just a volatile America right now. But when we first created this report, just to put it in perspective, it was the year after the iPhone launched, and I'll let Candace talk more about that in a minute. But just think about how tech has changed, how our worlds have changed, how not just the pandemic, but Black Lives Matters and the Me Too movement, and how our industry has really had to, morph to these and adjust and adapt, rightly so, to these changes. So as we look forward now, coming out of the pandemic, the next 15 years, there's been a lot of changes, right? Technology is definitely front and center. You'll hear about that more a little bit later, but there's also been a way that our guests at both hotels, restaurants, they've also changed too. They've been quote unquote pent up for a couple of years, and they want to get out and they want to experience life again, but they want it to be, they're very discerning if they're going to spend money. And we're not saying in any way it should all be value driven, but if they want to spend money, they want to make sure they're getting the most for their money. They're getting experiences, they're learning. And there's a big piece of, we'll talk about it later, but there's a big piece of our report that focuses on this. So as we look ahead towards the next 15 years, I would say you're all the industry leaders. We're all going to figure this out together, but it's going to be concept clarity for sure. And then maintaining the resilience and the creativity and the courage to do what we do every day will be the themes of this year especially, but the next 15. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Candace to talk about some game changers in the last 15 years.
Yeah, so when we looked back at this report, we really were astonished to think about some of the major shifts that have happened in our industry and how these big changes, a lot in tech and a lot of how we consume information, how that's impacted how we as a hospitality industry do business. The iPhone, if we think about what that has done in terms of how people find the places that they want to go, it's incredible to think about. Airbnb came around in 2008. We started seeing food trucks in 2008. Instagram, though it feels like it's been part of our life forever, and it was just 2010. Ticketed reservations we first started seeing in 2010. I think we've talked about that as being reflective of an industry that even before the pandemic needed to understand how we could possibly control understanding what kind of demand we were going to get and plan for it. So that's when we see that even starting way back in 2010. DoorDash, I think we're all familiar with, but that launched in 2013 and really has changed how people think about what they want to buy from restaurants, especially in light of the past couple of years. We started seeing mobile check-ins in 2013. Facebook and OpenTable partnered in 2013, which really changed, started a change in terms of how we use social media as not just an awareness tool, but also how do we look at conversions as it relates to social media. The influencers started to become a player in our marketing programs in 2013. Starbucks launched mobile order and payment in 2015, which really brought mobile in-app mobile payments to the masses. TikTok actually started in 2016, where now it's quite the topic of conversation. We'll get to that in a little bit. But that was also 2016. Me Too movement began in 2017. And then of course, 2020 and COVID-19. So when we think about kind of the bookend from the iPhone to COVID-19 and all that has changed, a lot of the trends we're going to talk about today, we can understand more in the context of looking back a little bit. But I'm going to turn it over to Leith for just a fun little look back. Sometimes we do this retrospective partially to validate ourselves, makes us feel good to say, oh, no, that's popular now. Remember, we called that back in whatever. So this is a little bit of patting ourselves on the back, but also kind of a fun way to look back. So I'll let Leith take you through some of the high points here.
Yeah, these are just a few from last year that we had a lot of fun with. So we called laksa as the dish of the year, the Southeast Asian soup, which is definitely trending. And we were really thrilled to see that it's up 180% on menus this year. So that's one that really hit home. And we also called 80s cocktails, and were amused to see some journalists complaining about it. Robots have definitely entered the hotel room since the pandemic, and that's something that we will see continue, especially when it comes to cleanliness. And then catering to pampered pets. I'll admit we did not expect to see $75 tasting menus for dogs, but now they exist. And, back through the years, these are a few of the others that have either hit home or are resonating still today. In 2021, we called Quesaberia as the dish of the year, and that is one that has exploded and can now be found across the country in big cities and in small towns. 2020, we called non-alcoholic cocktails. We definitely saw a decline in interest in non-alcoholic options in around March of 2020. But today we are seeing that movement coming back and stronger than it has been. So that's something that we definitely continue. 2019 was all about Georgian food. 2017, we predicted canned wine, and now that is everywhere and across all different price points. Some other trends throughout the years, going a little further back, tea and cocktails, canned cocktails. That's another one which has become huge recently, especially since the pandemic. That one is just booming. And then shrubs, those really started to enter the scene in 2011. 2010 saw the introduction of touch screens really coming into the hospitality industry, both in hotels and restaurants. And 2008, we heard the term staycation an awful lot, and it came back around again.
Certainly did. It certainly did. I will have to say that, two really quick things. Leith called Quesaberia, and to be completely honest, I didn't even know what it was when she called it. And then it took off like wildfire. So I attribute Leith Steele with the popularity of the Quesaberia across the world. And then, And then the other one, Leith, is it's a very interesting thing. Until you said that just now, I didn't realize that we went back to drinking when the pandemic hit. I wonder what happened to the non-alcoholic, but it's back with a vengeance right now, and you'll hear about that now. Okay, everybody. And by the way, just a reminder, if we don't touch on everything in this report, because we're going to be respectful of your time, you will be able to get a full copy of it. So don't worry if we skip over something, or we want to leave a little time for questions. Okay, if I had a drum roll, now would be the time, because these are the headliners for the year. And the first one is the dish of the year, which is maitake mushrooms. And you're going to start to see a trend here in the fact that vegetables and plant-based lifestyle is definitely continuing to trend up. Why this beautiful mushroom? Well, my favorite new word, as everybody knows, is craggy, because it's got craggy edges, and it can be baked, roasted, fried, grilled. And while it may not taste exactly like meat, it has the same consistency in many respects, and it also picks up great flavors, from sauces or from marinades or whatever. So you see some great examples of this here. Actually, right after we launched the trend report, Candace and I were at a restaurant in Boston called Chickadee, and we had a maitake mushroom. And then I was at the new RH in San Francisco, and there was a maitake mushroom. So in addition to these examples, we really called this one, and we'll talk about why you should consider it as well. Dessert of the year, Baked Alaska is back, and it's flaming. No comments, not like me. Okay, but anyway, Baked Alaska is back, and we're so excited to see this. This is sort of that everything is old is new again. There's another theme that's going to run through the report of nostalgia. Again, for us, the older folks, we remember Baked Alaska. For the newer generations, this is something new and completely cool and delicious. It's got a tableside element. It's a combination of these modern takes on this. So you can see some great presentations here. That's the Vault Steakhouse in the middle. They light it at the table. And I just think that, as you're planning your menus, the applications for whether you're an independent or a hotel is how do you bring some of these themes through on your menu? Drink of the year, the new seafood cocktail. This is interesting, right? Because we've sort of gone through different nostalgic phases of different kinds of drinks. Last year was the espresso martini, if I got that right, Lee. Was that last year? The espresso martini?
No.
I can't remember. Okay,
No, last year was 80s cocktails, but
80s
espresso
cocktails.
martinis have been big for
got it.
2 to 3 years. They are just
Yeah, we've been
incredibly
around, we
popular.
were on top of that trend, everybody. But anyway, this is sort of the infusion of the tastes of the sea. And coastal cocktails would be another way to call this. So you can see this Chiappino cocktail from Blue Stem. Of course, that last one is just everything you could possibly think of in a michelada that would go on top of the cocktail that comes from the sea. So again, great presentations and a fun way of combining flavors. And we just think coastal cocktails are on their way in. Well, they're here already, but they're going to get bigger. Cuisine of the year, Filipino. We had this on our report several years ago, but none of us expected to see the amazing popularity of Filipino food the way we are seeing it this year. And you can see that stat there that they're making up the third largest group, in the US at approximately 19% or 4.6 million people. Interestingly enough, here, another take on this is there's a lot of American Filipinos now. And so they're taking their family, the flavors of their families, that immigrated here, and they're doing modern takes. Abaca is a great example of this in San Francisco. And Francis Ang is an amazing chef who represented San Francisco on Regis and Kelly, not Regis. Oh my God, I'm so old. Kelly and Ryan. Kelly and Ryan last week. And you can see some other great dishes of high-end, low-end. When I say high-end, fast casual, Filipinos just really infiltrating the markets. And it's very exciting. So again, you may be saying, how does this apply to me? Well, think about the global influences of different dishes that you can infuse into your menus.
Regis is immortal, Andrew.
I know, Regis. I can't believe I said Regis. Oh my
Reg.
God. Okay, Reg. Hey, Candace, we're like the Regis and Kathy Lee of the restaurant and hotel industry. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Okay. Food City of the, and Leith, you're Gelman for anybody who watches the show.
Thanks, I was worried.
That's a producer. Okay. Food City of the Year is Austin, Texas. Yay. Why do we love it? Well, a lot of big companies are moving there. It's always had this vibe for being a great entertainment city, great music. And because it's attracting, so much attention from a press point of view and also companies moving in, it's attracting a lot of chefs that are also moving down there or may be there already that are now able to introduce new exciting concepts. And it's getting some beard attention and
Sorry.
Getting some beard attention. And you can see some great examples here of, again, different style restaurants, but I think, and then other branches of popular restaurants moving in, like the Dead Rabbit. So I think keep an eye on Austin because not only do you get great food, you get great music, and it's a good place to go. Okay, on that note, those are our headliners, everybody. So you heard them here first. So next year when we do this report, we'll see how we did. I'm going to turn it over to Leith to take you through some food trends.
Get hungry.
Yeah, for sure. This is ube being ubiquitous. This is definitely an outgrowth of the popularity of Filipino foods. A number of people first encountered ube, which is known and distinctive for its bright purple color, through either like halo halo, a traditional Filipino dessert, or bubble tea. But with that kind of subtly sweet flavor and bright purple color, it's something which has become crossing the line into mainstream cooking, which is exciting to see and something to think about, in that you can harness ube and its popularity just thinking of it as a Southeast Asian sweet potato. So there's some great examples here, from cocktails to desserts to pancakes. And let fermentation ferment. So this is something that's been going on for a number of years, and it continues to grow. And this could be traced back to Noma's New Nordic Cuisine, but chefs really started playing with fermentation in a process that's called koji, which is the fermentation of grains, including like rice, barley, or soy. But this allows chefs to really push flavors forward and enhance flavors in new and unexpected ways. So there's some incredible examples out there. Like the Charter Oak takes what would reads like a traditional soy miso dip, but tastes completely different. And it's served just with kind of naked raw vegetables, but it's become one of their most famous signature dishes. and Nigerian food pops up. This is something that's very exciting to see, and something that I think is still in its early ages that we hope to see growing. And there's been a number of very notable Nigerian foods or Nigerian restaurants popping onto the scene in the past year. And I think that's going to help lay a groundwork for more and more to start entering and proliferating. And people will change their perceptions of what Nigerian food is, or learn what Nigerian food is in many cases. A number of these new restaurants are these labors of love from Nigerian chefs who are taking this kind of dinner party approach, combining this food and using it as an opportunity to learn about Nigerian cuisine and culture, a chance for a discussion with people. So something very exciting to see.
Kind of lends itself to that experiential component that we were talking about. Don't just give me more, educate me, feed me, entertain me. Oh, that's a trend later. Sorry.
It's an opportunity to learn, and that's something that people are really excited about.
Yeah.
And I'll take it from here, Lee. Is that correct?
All you.
Okay. Well, Nikkei is on a roll, everybody, and that's a pun. So for anybody who didn't get it, I can explain it to you later. Just give me a call. Okay, because I think I might be the only one who got it. Okay. Anyway, this is sort of a really fun. Well, it's actually really trending. This is a combination of where Peruvian ingredients with Japanese techniques sort of come together in an infusion of flavors, and we've seen the popularity. We'll talk about Japanese in general in a minute, but in this particular trend, this Peruvian Japanese mashup has really been probably started by by Nobu, and can maybe be attributed to this first coming onto the scene. But now there's great restaurants all over the country, including one of our clients, which is Cayo here in San Francisco, and they've now just announced they're going to Las Vegas. So I think the reason it's so popular is because, again, it's that global infusion and that experiential of trying something that you may have never had before. And it's just delicious.
And colorful.
Look how pretty it is. Isn't it colorful? Look how beautiful that is. Luckily, it's almost time for dinner on the East Coast here. Okay. I think I'm turning Japanese, everybody. Oops, go back one. I'm turning Japanese. Okay. Anyway, I'll stop singing. But this is, again, the general infusion of Japanese technique and flavors. Again, like for lack of a better word, mashups of certain cuisine types. And Lee really discovered this trend, and you can see some great examples here. But the one in the middle is Japanese Italian. So we hadn't heard or seen that before. And then I love Ethel's Fancy, which is modern California cuisine from a Japanese American kid from Hawaii. So you can see, again, there's a love of Japanese culture. You can see there's a lot of Asian influence in our report this year. But in this particular instance, again, I just bring it back to keeping in mind what you can do with it, because I think global influences are certainly very popular. Next, 2-digit tasting menus. Well, initially this was all about, possibly giving people affordable options to eat out. And certainly that is, I think, the number one motivator for this. It's a great way to try. This is not for every restaurant, obviously, but by doing this, just given some of the labor challenges and some of the food cost challenges, you're also able to really control the dining room experience from the kitchen and the service team a lot better, because you know what's going out and you know how many of them are going out. So interesting concept here is that they're making them affordable. And you can see some great examples, the $50 menu there. You can, I think we have some, because you should all go eat at some of these places. But like Mama in Oakland is a $38.95 menu. Now, I will say, when you get there, if you want to, you can supplement. You can add a course, you can add truffles, you can do different things to the menus. But it's a great entry point for a lot of people. They get to experience restaurants. And so even if you don't have that, I can't do this all the time, maybe you think about doing it one night a week, just to give people an opportunity. Back to Lee.
Yes, Beyond Meat. This is something obviously that's been trending and growing in different directions for years and years as people have been searching for alternative meats. And where in the past we heard a lot about these amazing contrived meats that seemed like real meat because of these chemical properties. Now we're hearing people say, no, we want meat alternatives that are more natural and based on more natural ingredients. If if I can't pronounce the name of a chemical that's in my food, it's probably not good for me. So we're starting to see a lot of these newer entries into the alt meat markets, which are based on things like red seaweed in the case of Umaro Foods, or maybe mushroom roots in the case of My Bacon, creating these alternative meat products across different types and cuts of meat, but based on natural ingredients that people can feel more comfortable with. And vegan gets convenient. Again, this is how the kind of the vegan food movement is continuing to grow and to infiltrate our culture. And so it might have started at health food convenience stores, and then it goes into, specialty cafes and restaurants, and then it went high end, and then fast food. And now we're seeing this filter all the way down to C-stores. And so we've seen some very interesting entrants into the market, including a few different vegan butchers or delis, which is something that is still fascinating to me because they seem almost contradictory. But there's this one in Los Angeles where they are making all their own alternative meats in-house and replicating some traditional Mexican meat dishes, whether it be, carnitas, and serving something that's completely vegan that they make in-house.
Awesome. Okay. Sorry, just checking in on the time. Good, you're good to go, Lee. Keep going.
Okay, so Thai flatbreads on the rise. This is one that's fun. It goes by a ton of different names, from Manouche to Manikish and Manish. A number of these have gotten their start in farmers markets where, there's that kind of almost universal appeal of a grilled flatbread, but it's highly aromatic thanks to the za'atar. And because a lot of these, interesting companies might have started in farmers markets, they're taking this farm fresh approach. So they're building on the traditional and might be adding toppings like diced cherry tomatoes, cucumbers, whatever's fresh and from the market.
And to put this on your menu, you don't have to be able to say Manouche, Manikesh, Manish.
Even though I think that's a great dance, that's a great tongue twister kind of thing, say it 3 times fast. But really excited about this one too, because if anybody in the Bay Area reads the Chronicle today, Reams has just announced their ferry building location. Just for you Bay Area fans. Okay.
And the daily grind is corn, not coffee. So this is one that seems almost contradictory to call it as a trend when, it's been going on for centuries, especially in Mexico and Latin America. But modern chefs are really embracing that tradition, realizing that there's a lot more flavor in the old ways than in the kind of mass-produced GMO corn. So a number of these high-profile chefs are now sourcing small family farmers that are growing non-GMO corn, then grinding it in-house, nixtamalizing it, which is the process that makes it consumable, and then grinding their own masa and using that as the basis of their cuisine because of the increased quality and flavor that this provides. Also environmental benefits. And Cuisin art, this is definitely something that you can say when you look at these beautiful masterpieces of Southeast Asian. I'm going to say desserts. They don't have to be sweet, but most of the time they are based on glutinous rice. These are steamed desserts usually, although they can also be pan fried. Typical flavorings include coconut, pandan, and palm sugar. They go by, cuy is a very general term, so it can embrace a number of different types and varieties, kind of like saying cookies. But as we continue to see more Southeast Asian flavors, we expect to see these kind of gain some recognition, in part just because they're so beautiful to look at. They drive curiosity. You look at this and you just want to try it. I'm
digging that rainbow one from Lady Wong. For a minute, like that is going to be, that should be everywhere for Pride. Okay. Let's go. It's 3 tiers for creative presentations, everybody. So, we've seen this in the past with desserts and, tea, high tea service has always used this, but now what we're noticing here again is presentation is definitely becoming, and Candace is going to talk about some design
heightened.
But creative presentation is it's part of the eating experience, as you all know. So here, what we found is that, it's those gotta have moments that come through the dining room. When somebody sees something like this come through the dining room, they want it. So I always say, challenge yourself, because you probably need 5 of these for the whole experience. But you can see some great examples here of this. That is a dessert presentation at the green room. And then I love the other presentation because it's appetizers. So it's not just for tea anymore. It should be a lot of fun. It got picked up. This one's good. Okay, and this is one of my favorite trends, though I know it's definitely a little tougher to accomplish. But I think, again, as we came out of very tough staff, we're still in it, but tough staffing challenges. Basically, this is giving credit where credit's due and bringing the whole kitchen team into the experience if they're influencing the menu, if they're working with you on something. So calling out who gets the credit, I think, is the summary of this trend. And I think it helps with loyalty, it helps with morale. It's interesting to the guests because they get to know a little bit about them. And this is somewhere where you can infuse some cultural influence. So we're seeing restaurants that are really naming their everybody who makes the experience possible, like Californios in New York. I'm sorry, here in San Francisco. Okay, and now I'm going to turn it over to Candice.
I get to do the booze, which is always my favorite.
I'm just gonna have a
All right.
while you're doing that. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Make sure it has a briny soup flavor.
Margarita. Okay.
I'll join you for
so
this one.
Okay.
All right, they're going to leave me. Go have a drink. It's right over there. Cocktails for a crowd. So there has definitely been a return to conviviality. We're seeing large format cocktails back on the scene, but it's not just pitchers or scorpion bowls. We're seeing some really fun ways. Hazy's in the middle there is in San Francisco with Go Ask Her, has this beautiful presentation for this for their cocktail. Tipsy Alchemist has disco ball. So you can get creative and have some fun. Give them something to talk about when the cocktail goes through the room. Cocktails for the kid in you. These are not kiddie cocktails. These are for the youthful, the young at heart. As Andrew mentioned, we're definitely seeing a lot of this, this sense of nostalgia coming into play. And that we're seeing that in cocktails too, where we see kind of childhood sweets becoming a little bit boozier. I love the, and again, this kind of goes back to the everything old is new again, like the kids are talking about Jello shots, which is funny. But I love this Jello shot in the end. It's a house-made Jello shot and it's served in that oyster shell. We also see things like popsicles and drinks, or a lot of things inspired by Cinnamon Toast Crunch Brunch. That's inspired by everyone's favorite breakfast cereal.
And Ken, I would say those cocktails, you put something like that Jello shot on your menu, I guarantee you it's going to sell. So there's opportunities there. Okay, back to you.
And a lot of these are really delicious. Cafe Noce in Austin, those popsicle, they're pour overs. They have a section of them on their menu, and they're delicious and they're refreshing, and they, sell really well at brunch. That we were told. Vegan fat wash cocktails. So we've all kind of, I think, heard about bourbon being washed in butter or bacon. It was definitely something we started to see maybe about 10 years ago. This is a play on that same technique, using olive oil. Or coconut oil, or the one on the end is a peanut butter washed whiskey, which is really delicious sounding as well. So again, you can play around with these flavors, infusing, great flavors in them, but also they're vegan. And so that makes them, more inclusive on the menu for those who are vegan. Kind of along that trend, a toast to avocado cocktails. So we see avocado in smoothies and desserts across Southeast Asia, but it's not something we'd seen until recently here in the US, with one notable exception. There's a restaurant in Austin that's been doing avocado margaritas for a long time, but in general, it's something that we're seeing more of. It leaves like a creamy mouthfeel, and the fat cuts through alcohol's heat. So got some great examples here. Pine and Polk in New York has a -3 that has mezcal and avocado and lemongrass and salted corn. So again, some really great flavors coming through there. Leek, take us through the power of Pandan.
Yeah, so this one lends again to Southeast Asian flavors, but in very different ways. Pandan is a highly aromatic ingredient. This lovely vanilla-like flavor, or aroma, but a little more herbal. While it can be bright green, where it can be used for its color, it can also be something that is used. And in cocktails, it is primarily used for its aromas. So you get this lovely aromatic whiff of this almost vanilla, but not quite, and that adds this beautiful underlaying aroma. So an example that we love is this from Getaway Brewing. It's called the Flamingo Bay, and it's going to be a rum-based drink with, watermelon and coconut, and Pandan lends itself wonderfully to tropical flavors, although it can also bridge into others. Pacific Cocktail Haven in San Francisco is known for doing a Pandan Negroni. So taking a very bitter cocktail and just adding that kind of shot from the tropics with that lovely vanilla aroma.
Leith likes Negronis a lot. That's the cocktail that we always.
And then add a little ube and for the color, and you're set. Green and purple. It's a very colorful report.
And plenty of spirit without alcohol. This goes back to the non-alcoholic movement, which did start a number of years ago. Since then, a ton of companies have entered the field with products that replicate the flavors of traditional spirits, but are completely non-alcoholic. And this is incredibly important as you design your bar menu, knowing that you have all these wonderful products to work with, because they can make it much easier to create a non-alcoholic option that tastes and feels like a cocktail, so that even people who are not drinking for whatever reason can have a drink that feels like a cocktail. They're not being relegated to a soda.
And don't call them mocktails. That's the other piece of it as well.
I like free-spirited, spirit-free. There's this should be a whole section on your menu now.
You need to treat it with the same dedication and thought as you do to any other drink on your cocktail menu.
There in San Francisco, they just opened a liquor store that's completely non-alcoholic. Well, it's not even liquor, right? It's non-alcoholic, and there's a bar now too. So this is big, everybody.
Yeah, there's a few around the country.
Big. Okay.
All right, shaken, stirred, and table side. This is something that is just fun, and it's something that comes and goes and comes around again and again, because people spent so long at home. When they go out, they're looking for a show, they're looking for presentation, they want to be engaged. And when that bartender comes to your table, they command your attention. They catch your eye and you're watching them, prepare your drink right there. And there's a wow factor to it, which is really engaging. And it is also going to draw other people from across the room who want that same experience. So there's a number of great examples here, from the smoke-filled bubbles that burst at the table at Teleferic Barcelona, to, these martinis for four, so the group cocktail presented table side with a carafe on an ice tray and the garnish, so guests can garnish their own drink. And the new bottle service, this is something that's really exciting. It's, we're right at the start now. I'm really hoping that we see this develop out over the next few years, but around the world, most other countries are doing a much better job than we are in the US recycling glass. And so in most parts of the world, there is a tradition of recycling glass bottles. So some in the wine industry who are especially conscious about the environment have said we have to take care of this bottle situation, because about 29 to 30% of wine's carbon footprint comes to that glass bottle. So there's a few different solutions, and companies are looking to solve this in different ways. Conscious Container is partnering with wineries to collect, wash, and reuse empty wine bottles. We expect that to go into its first use next year. And then the star winemaker Diana Snowden-Sasis launched Snowden Cousins. She's taking a different approach with that one, partnering with her distributor and selling exclusively to restaurants only whom guarantee to return the bottle through their distributor so that they can wash and reuse those.
Salted egg yolk, the next pumpkin spice. You heard it here first. Thanks in part to the rise of bubble tea and Vietnamese coffee, we're seeing another Asian favorite entering over to mainstream America, salted egg yolk drinks. So it's got, it's a custardy flavor with got some umami notes, and it's very sweet, savory. We know when Tarani calls something the flavor of the year, that we think we'll see it in a lot of places. So we are predicting that this is going to be your new favorite flavor. You can see it there in a couple different ways.
Leith, just really quick on that one. Do you think it'll be at the same time as pumpkin, or they'll come up with a whole new timeline to
whole new timeline? You don't want to correct.
You want to compete with pumpkin, right? Okay.
Yeah. And it very different flavor.
Yes. Okay.
All right, there's fruit in my coffee. So again, hot on the heels of bubble tea, don't be surprised if you start to find chunks of fruit in your coffee. It's all right. So while a lot of Asian cultures have typically preferred tea, we're now seeing coffee making some inroads. And what we found is that in Asia, there's some younger Asian consumers have taken to sweeten their coffee with fruit. Plus, it adds a fun pop of color, and it's kind of like the same concept of bubble tea. But this is, typically from an iced espresso mixed with thick fruit puree. There's a place in San Francisco called Not Latte, which claims to be the first to bring fruit lattes to the US. So this is very early on, but we think this is interesting and that we'll see a little bit more of these in the future. Then we've got some products to watch. We've got Tepache, that's traditional in Mexico and Central America. It's kind of a fermented beverage. Highball machines, this is very cool. Seeing Tetra Hotel in Sunnyvale is home to Nokori, which is a Japanese whiskey bar that's using these highball machines. And then Long Drink, this is a Finnish drink. I can't see my slide. It's gin and grapefruit soda. And popular in Finland, and we think is making some inroads here in the US. All right.
Awesome. And on to the hotel trend.
Hotels.
Two things. The vegan washed cocktails of fat. I'm just so curious about that one because right now I just feel like I'm just fat washed, ladies. So I just need to go on a diet. But and then Candace, I don't know about fruit in the coffee. I'm gonna hold out on that one. But that's my personal commentary, but
you'll be drinking bubble tea next year as well.
That's right. That's right. We have a very big bubble tea client, so I love bubble tea. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's talk about some hotel trends. We got some really nice tips from one of our favorite hotel designers, Rose Bernard Studio, and I think again, we were during the pandemic. As you know, road tripping and work from anywhere became very, very popular, and because that is popular and will continue to be popular. They're looking at the designs of the hotel rooms now because, many times you're taking the call in your hotel room and you're facing a bed that you have to make or maybe not make. But and then you do one of those fake backgrounds, which, when you move, anyway, you know how I feel about those. So they're redesigning the rooms so that when you're sitting in a room, and we're actually in Cincinnati today, and two of our colleagues said that their rooms have indeed been designed for them to work in the room without their bed in the background. So the idea is reconfiguring a room to really make it a work space as well, and not just a place to sleep and watch TV at night.
Yeah, and that applies to the lobby too.
Yes, and that applies to the lobby. And that other trend there, which I think is really interesting, is your lobby is a place not just for hotel guests to socialize, but they're sort of becoming community hubs. Or we're getting to let's meet and have a drink in the bar at the So-So Hotel, and then we'll go out. We can go from there. So they're zoning them. They're creating almost like this work in the place we're at right now, which is a what's it called, Candace? Fueled, right?
Fueled Collective, yeah. Carbonate's office is in Fueled Collective.
It's like a work, a co-working space. Lobbies are getting that too. So it's actually really exciting. And I think little things that you could do to rezone things, to create nooks and crannies will be great for you. And then from Wi-Fi to hi-fi. So, every year there's always sort of a cool, again, nostalgia, everything old is new again. Well, these very cool bars are creating hi-fi rooms, or hi-fi listening bars. And, obviously there's a commitment here. You have to have a great collection. You have to have a great sound system. But, if you have a bar that's maybe underperforming or you have another area, this is something you could really consider doing and create. There's a whole culture of people that are back to vinyl. So we just thought that, again, this concept of experiential is what's fueling this trend. And both of those places look really cool. Even for me, the old guy. Okay, shopping the room. One of my favorite trends, everybody, because this is a revenue producer for you hotels and restaurants, I should say. But when you're in a space, there are now apps that you can partner with to literally figure out everything that you might want to put on sale from your branded experience. Now, I will say you have to have great branded materials, and then you have to build out this app. But your guests can literally be laying in bed, ordering the lamp that they see, or the TV, or whatever it is. Candace and I were in New Hampshire last week, and we ran into the mattress concierge, who has worked with a bunch of hotels to brand their mattresses and now sells and ships them all over the country. So this is a great revenue producing opportunity. And Candace is going to talk about it a little bit more for restaurants. Tech or text? For hotels, the answer is both. Some people don't want you texting them. Some people don't want you emailing them. But most people have a preference and they just want to be able to communicate the way they want to communicate. So, we've all been sort of trained on, you can do everything on your, via the app now, or, you don't even have to check in at a front desk. You can do it all. You can get your key on your phone. Everything's done. But now texting and having a personality that you can text with to craft your experience is becoming really popular. And I did it last week for the first time, and I have to say it was really great because they identified a person that was going to be sort of like my personal concierge, and we texted back and forth about dinner reservations and other things that we needed. So again, not for everybody. It should be an opt-in thing, but I think if you can add this, this service, you'll see a boost of loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
And then hotels trash the trash. So we've been talking about recycling for a while. We've been talking about, we know about the carbon footprint. We know about, how much power and water and, we've seen some amazing programs, about, encouraging people not to have their beds changed and not to have their towels removed. And they get, bonus credits in some form for that experience. And, not right for every hotel because, again, I spoke about it earlier, people pay for luxury. So they still expect some of that. So it's, again, personal choice. Here, at least some hotels are taking it to the next level. So the one hotel in Nashville actually has they've ruled out single-use plastics altogether. And they're also looking at, everything is compostable and takeaway and their materials, but they're looking at a recycling options, which now they work with a glass pulverizer to turn the glass into sand. And that, down there, you need that for potential hurricanes. And then the one below has actually took it one step further, and they've actually opened their own glass recycling plant. So, I think, again, not right for everybody, but just keep pushing yourselves on how far you can take it. And when you're really proud of it, promote it. And then
Speaking of which,
what's that?
Speaking of which, there's platforms to promote it.
Yeah, again, there's platforms for low impact travel. And this is really important, everybody, because there are companies that are making their decisions using platforms like this. And they're looking at, what is your commitment to the environment and to, recycling. And so you can see here 3 examples of this. So if you are doing something you're really proud of, or you have an opportunity to go on one of these sites, and what the last one is a little more for home decor, but you can see there's, again, we always look at this report from how's it going to help you? How's it going to give you another opportunity to build business? And this one would be an obvious one. Okay. And that is now on Candace for design.
Design trends. So we've got design trends, social media trends, and some marketing ideas to inspire you coming up. So I'm going to go fast because we have 8 minutes. We're going to go a little bit over, but it's going to be worth it. So cancel your next call or tell them you're going to be late.
Cancel your next call, or yes, grab a cocktail and
grab a drink.
Okay.
That's right. All right, design trends. So easy on the eye. So we have some great examples here of this trend. These were put together by our design team. But, there's a design style that's making its way on, some people are calling it no fuzz design. It's this very simple yet inviting graphic style that is, defined by very softened color palettes, these very approachable typefaces, very clean compositions, and they strike this harmony and balance, but you're still not losing that impact, right? You're still going to remember these brands. So we've got Panettone Pavalucci there, which is not typically what you think of when you think of a Panettone for Christmas or whenever. That looks like part of their rebrand was to make it clear that that's something you can enjoy all year round. Cravings is a baking mixes and things. So again, you're not losing impact here, but you're not necessarily shouting at people in the same way that you might with a different type of something more in your face. Mind, body, and spirit. This is really about, designers asking the question of how can design make someone feel protective or peaceful or content, even outside of a wellness focused experience. And so, considering things like how do colors shift your mood? How does a scent trigger a memory? Again, these are partially things that are part of good design, but we're really seeing a focus on embracing simplicity, eliminating intrusive aspects of things, and really taking design to be focused on that sense of wellness. So you can see, Be Green is a salad company in Valencia. Again, it's not necessarily, you don't necessarily think of that as being, of a restaurant as being, how is this going to calm people? But that's part of it. PLA and the Catskills in New York. So again, really being very mindful in all of the design choices, even when you're not a wellness brand per se. Back to the Future again. This is a little bit of that nostalgia theme coming through. I think there were a number of people that really smiled when we saw McDonald's releasing the adult Happy Meals. Comfort and nostalgia is there. And so there's been a renewed relationship with nostalgia in these latest iterations, where we're seeing the past meet the present in new ways. So we're seeing unexpected combinations like these friendly, bold fonts and really retro color palettes that are kind of paired with space age starkness, or throwback marketing styles of imagery, kind of getting this old school feel, but seeing still a sleekness to it. The one down in the middle there is it's actually a vegan deli you're seeing kind of this old school deli vibe that's punctuated by really sleek branding, very modern upgrades. So again, everything old is new again, but it's new in a different way as it relates to this trend. Packaging that makes an impression. So, I think what we saw during the pandemic, we talked about this over the past couple of years, that we're seeing kind of a renewed focus on providing high quality packaged foods. But as those who've tried it know, to make that truly sustainable, there's a different level of planning than just, I'm going to package up what's in my pantry, right? There's considerations related to co-packing, what is it going to be packaged in? And really, this is about sort of taking those brand extensions and providing them in very thoughtful ways. So we're seeing, proprietary product lines that really increase revenue, and giving guests that experience to enjoy that meal at home. So there's a lot to like about this. We're seeing more and more chefs and restaurateurs pursue this. Montolupo in Oregon is a very popular Italian restaurant that has kind of taken what they're doing and expanded it. We see Jean-Georges Private Label in New York at the top doing that as well. So lots of really fun ways to do this, and really use the packaging to communicate the quality of what's within. All right, that takes us to social media trends. So our digital team has pulled these together for you. So TikTok, I think this is on the mind of a lot of people, which is like, how do I participate in TikTok when I do not have the time, energy, staff, budget, whatever, to have my own TikTok channel? And TikTok is a challenging channel because it's very algorithm focused. So it's not just enough to be producing the content. You have to be very timely about it. You have to loop in to the trending audio and those pieces. So we're definitely seeing TikTok become an important marketing channel for independent hotels. It ends this level of authenticity, because TikTok is a platform that the algorithm rewards authenticity. But we're seeing this happen in terms of campaigns. So you don't necessarily have to have your own channel, right? You can utilize TikTok influencers. So we've got some great examples here, and the impact can be quite significant. The one in the middle there, that post received nearly 4 million views and over 30,000 shares. So when you think about the impact of that marketing, it's quite significant for sure. TikTok is eating it up, and so are its users. This is a replies to restaurants. I think this is an incredible statistic that 38% of US TikTok users have visited or ordered food from a restaurant after seeing a video on the app about it. So there's something very craveable about this and how we're using TikTok for it. 30% of users have traveled longer distances for a new dining experience. We've got a number of different trends here, but we're seeing this matter. And again, don't necessarily, if you have the ability to create the content and the frequency to have your own TikTok channel, great. And if not, there's also the ability to utilize influencers so that you have a presence on the channel and that your brand or your restaurant is there, but perhaps without the extension of the marketing budget for it. But that being said, 38% are ordering. So, I think it's something to really consider when you think about how you're using your marketing budgets for next year. Videos get short. So there's some good news here. 72% of people prefer video to text. So let that sink in. Nobody wants to read anything. But 60% of video ads are less than 30 seconds. So you got to give them a video, but make it quick. I think this is, exciting for us. We're also seeing, information that might have been, once detailed in a 5-minute YouTube video is a 30-second click, right? So TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts videos, they're projected to make up to 90% of all internet traffic in 2022. So that's quite significant.
Hey, Candace, I just want to jump in. I know we're going to run about 5 minutes over, everybody, but if you could stick in, we're also going to be on the line for questions. So we'll make this as quickly as possible, but thanks for hanging. We're just a few minutes over.
Cancel your next call, truly. Social media is DM meets CRM. I think this is one of probably a major mind shift. And for the marketers on the call, this is where you need to let the operators know that some of the social media budget has to come out of operations, or should, because we are seeing that direct message is how people are communicating with restaurants. We're seeing private event inquiries coming in. We're seeing things like, I left my purse at the bar, my sweater was at the bar. Can you, people are reaching out over social media and are expecting that the restaurant is going to respond. So you have to have somebody responding. And for, when you have an agency responding, sometimes that promptness is really important, and having an agency on that is really valuable. Making sure that the agency has that kind of connection with your operations team and can, text the GM or reach out and really provide that very immediate response, because that is what people are using these channels for these days. So think about social media as a very important part of the guest experience. Turn the sound up. So audio consumption continues to rise, and we're seeing social media platforms figure out how best to incorporate it. TikTok and Instagram Reels have dominated the video space, and pairing videos with original trending songs and audio clips is really important. So we're seeing brands incorporating music and audio as a creative driver, but also, looking at how that can really help your content trend on the algorithms, because the audio is very important. You have to be obviously, cognizant that you're picking music that's on brand, and also, making sure that you're, falling within the right copyright restrictions. But in general, definitely something to explore.
Okay, we're going to wrap this hour up. We just always, because that's what we do. We want to give you a few ideas to inspire you. There's so many out there, but as you're building your marketing plans, these are some things you should consider. First is happy trails. I'm singing. Okay, to you, and you, and you, and you. This is a very exciting trend of creating trails. It goes back to that experiential aspect that people really want now. This can be done with a city, like Oakland did the vegan trail, and Concord did the taco trail. But you could do a trail right within your own hotel. You could do a partner with the city that you're in and create something where people can really enjoy. They can be supported by technology with an app that can take them on their way, and something good can happen for them at each stop or when it's done. So again, you probably heard it now enough to know experiences are really important to this coming year. Think about a trail. Okay, meet me in the metaverse. This one's still a little out there, but it's creating environments in the metaverse that, again, that customers can experience. They can also buy into with NFTs. And not right for everybody, for sure, but because you have to make a major commitment to create something really stunningly beautiful, like whatever you're going to be doing in real life. But on this one, for instance, Citizen M actually sold art, and they actually raised money that the folks that got in on it were the first to know where their new in real life location was going to be. And then I thought the Jack in the Box example was just a really fun way for a young brand, like an older brand, to hit a younger audience. This one we talked about, it's not just dinner anymore, everybody. Well, in some respects it is just dinner, but in a lot of places now, people are, again, they want that entertainment, and it's not entertainment like it was in the past, like Planet Hollywood and all those. These are like experiences that fit your culture of your restaurant. So bringing a piano bar back, bringing jazz in, doing something really fun like with performances. There's a restaurant here in San Francisco called Berber. They're very experiential. They do this. It's almost like Cirque du Soleil meets a restaurant, but then they also do a dog brunch on Sundays. So anyway, you can bring your families in and really enjoy. Make the experience more enjoyable.
It's a party.
It's a party. And then the last one kind of continues along that line. So as marketers, especially, you're going to have a tighter budget, that's what we're here for, because we can always help you with solutions. But in this particular instance, partnering is key to partnership marketing is very, very important. So you can see here examples like Delta and Starbucks, or in this case, the Proper Hotel in San Francisco partnered with Moulin Rouge when they came through town, and they did cocktails and a menu, and both entities were promoting it. So just keep thinking about how to extend your reach, because that's, and if you can do it with partners, it's going to save you money in your budget too. So we're going to leave you on, you can switch to the next slide so I can wrap up. We appreciate being your partners, just as a nice segue there. I also want to just throw a huge thank you out to Candace and Leith, and also the team at Carbonate, and Rose, who's on the phone helping us with this presentation. I did want to let you know that you're going to have a few surprise slides when you get the report, when you download the report. There's also a glossary of every client that every restaurant or hotel or anything that we mentioned. So definitely download the report. And I'll wrap with, if you have to embrace something, because I'm not there in person, you can't embrace me, but embrace technology, embrace plant-based and vegan, global influences, especially Asian flavors, embrace nostalgia, because everything old is new again, value for the money and experiences, and embrace yourselves, everybody, because you made it. You made it through the, you made it through this trend report, but you also made it through the craziest couple of years. So I'll say on that note, happy trails to you until we meet again. Do you like how I brought that all together? And if you have any questions, we can hang on the line, but you can also visit our websites, our Instagrams, anywhere anywhere you can find us, we'll find you.